On today's episode of It's Jim Sees It. Welcome to the Rasta Hour. My name is Chris Consciousness.
King of the road, trailer for sailoring. That trailer for sailoring. Ain't got no cigarettes, but trailer for sailoring.
Welcome to another illustrious episode of As Jim Sees It. Subscribe! The story I'm going to go over today is kind of a wild one. Now, I want to let you know that I do not make up little boards or cues telling me when and how to say these stories, or the tension to build to create a better story up to the resolution. I just go with the flow, for those that don't know. You see this scar right here? I don't know if I'm trying to look at it from, where's it at? Yeah, there it is. Right there. So, when I lived in my bus, I was on year number 3. And I was on a creative endeavor. And the destination originally was California, and I did not make it there. So I chose another warm state that had 50 active movie city. That's what sucks about editing and not being able to look at something to make it right. So they had 50 movie studios, right, in Florida. I knew somebody in Ormond Beach, so I went down to Ormond Beach. The drive, disaster. So, in some of the shorts I talked about when I drove across the country and went down Route 66 and lived in an SUV and went out to California and then came back to Ohio, blah, 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 blah. There's a real short story about me being in the Grand Canyon. Well, this was years later. I had a bus that I had built a home on. It was a shuttle bus, a 40-footer. And after 2 winters in Ohio, COVID, and the shutdown, I was ready to embark on the great adventure called life. The unpredictable adventure called life. So I picked out a bunch of tunes, hit the play button, went down Route 71 and started my new journey. I was in Indiana, and Indiana is really, really cool. And yes, I know I said it wrong. I'm really tired today. Indiana's really cool looking. It's very, you're up really high on certain parts of the highway as you drive, so when you see the towns, they're like embedded in, I don't want to say like rock mountains, but it's like, it looks, there's like hills just really, really, really far out and up. And the houses just kind of, and the towns like sit on them, you know? And it was a beautiful view. It was cloudy. I had left in May, so it was still pretty, it was warm. I'm on the road, and the bus always kind of had this rattle when I would drive, like. But it started doing this on the steering wheel. I'm like, and my mind didn't want to accept something had happened. And it was right when I got on this huge bridge. And it was really cool too, because it looks like the bridges that are in Chicago that are like, they're like suspended in the air and they fold up and all that stuff. It was long. So it's like, and I'm like, no, it's always been like this. My mind didn't want to accept that something was going wrong. I'm going, and I get off the bridge, and I was like, this doesn't seem normal, and it really started going. And I had gotten the gearbox fixed a year prior by a bad mechanic, so yeah, I still get mad about that. Anyhow, when you put a new gearbox in, it fixes that rattling, because I had it happen once before. All this guy did was he repressed the old gearbox and then charged me for a brand new gearbox and the labor. So anyhow, the car was rattling, the bus was rattling out of control, and I'm like, dude, this is not good. I gotta figure something out. So I said, God, if I should pull this vehicle over, give me a sign. And I look up, and it says semi-mechanic next right. And I'm like, okay, that's probably a place that can look at this and fix it. So I didn't hesitate. I got right off the next exit, and I pulled into the semi-mechanic, and I waited about a half hour, and I walked up and talked to him and asked him, I said, hey man, you know, there's something going on with my bus. I'm traveling cross country and can you take a look at it, you know? I figure he works on big semis, this little bus, they could definitely put a lift up under it, and because that was a problem with having a 40-foot shuttle bus. A lot of places didn't want to deal with it because of the lift. Anyhow, he goes, you know what, I can't do anything about that, but if you drive a mile down that way, there's a guy who specifically works on Fords just like this one, especially the old ones from the 80s, because this was a 1984 Ford Econoline that was a shuttle bus with 67,000 original miles, and I'd put in like maybe 15 on in the 2 years that I had it, 15,000 miles. I'm like, okay. So I get on the road, and it's like really going. And anybody who knows when a gearbox goes in a big vehicle, it's really scary. And I'm going down the road, I'm like, please don't let me run into somebody on the opposite side of the road. So I go there, the guy's there, I'm like, hey man, this is what's going on, da-da-da. He goes, yeah, it sounds like the gearbox is bad. So he looks under, he sees it's leaking fluid from the gearbox. He goes, come back first thing tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and we'll get it fixed. I'm like, okay. So I drive back to the 24-hour gas station, and as I'm driving back, that thing is just going all over the place. And I was like, please don't let me hit anybody. Please don't let me hit anybody. I pull in the gas station. I lay down to go to bed. I get up the next morning. I drive to the mechanic, and I'm driving, and I'm like, please don't let me hit anybody. Please don't let me hit anybody. And I drop it off, and I sit in there for 2 hours. The guy got the part like fast, and he put it in there. He charged me $600. He goes, all right, man, you're good to go. And put me back on the road, and I was back on the road to Florida in Indiana. So that was the start of that creative endeavor. So I think I'll keep kind of throwing this into each episode until I get all the way through to how I got this scar. All right, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to the Rasta Hour. My name is Chris Consciousness, and I'm about to tune you into Rasta waves. I got to eat the coconut from the Rasta man of consciousness. Whoa, 'cause all we really need is a Rasta love. Whoa.
King of the road, trailer for sailoring.